The idea for this exhibition came up almost 6 years ago, when it became clear that the National Library will soon receive a good number of Franz Kafka's original manuscripts and papers.
We already knew that the Kafka archive will be a major exhibition in our exhibition plan of the new building.
All this happened actually following a long and not easy legal battle that the National Library of Israel had here in Israel, beginning with the family court in Tel Aviv up to the Supreme Court. And it was about the question who was the rightful owner of Max Brod's papers, including manuscripts by Franz Kafka that remained there among his papers. And that's why we decided that we have to show also, maybe in order to demystify the figure of Franz Kafka, because many books that have been written, movies that have been made about him, even research books written on him, created a certain myth about this personality.
We knew that Kafka's life history and life story would be a major part of the exhibition, but obviously a huge part of the story of Kafka is his cultural relevance, his cultural impact around the world, and more specifically in Israel.
A topic that distinguishes our exhibition from many other exhibitions that have been in 2024. And this is the question how Kafka faced Judaism, what made Judaism with him, and what he made out of Judaism. In addition to that, we have, of course, the social circles of Kafka, his friends, women. Women were always fascinating him, but also repelled him, and he was struggling very hardly with that. Another very touching item and very personal item that we have in our collections are these conversation sheets. We know that during the last weeks and days of Kafka's life, he was too weak and too infected from his sickness that he was unable to speak anymore. So he reacted in written form to his friends and to the staff of the sanatorium he was staying. So this is possibly the only way to hear, in a way, Kafka speaking, because we do not have any sound recordings. We don't know what his voice was, but here we can hear him in a way, in a most direct way, that he would never bring up on paper in a letter or so.
When the National Library of Israel accepted, after a long and many years, Kafka's archive, we knew that we have two missions that we have to fulfill. From one hand, we will digitize the whole archive. That will give access to everybody from a long distance to understand, to learn, and to read the archive. And on the other hand, to make an exhibition that will let a lot of visitors the opportunity to understand who was Kafka and why his literature is so important for us at a modern time.
Kafka has deep-rooted ties and connection to the National Library. His dear friend from middle school and high school was Hugo Bergman, who was the head of the National Library.
And he was constantly in contact with Kafka over the years until the end in 1924.
He had many close friends, including obviously Max Brod, who came to Israel and later donated their archives to the National Library. He had other friends that worked for the National Library.
Felix Welch also immigrated in 1939 to Palestine, and he came up to Jerusalem and joined our team as well.
Meaning he's really part of the identity that built the National Library and made it what it is today.
We received these items mainly from two places, an abandoned department in Tel Aviv and a safe in Zurich, in Switzerland. We had to treat them properly, first for storage and then for exhibition. When we received the items, we saw they were in a not good condition. So we had to take a lot of measures to take care of the collection.
התערוכה כולה, יש בה 3 דימויים שונים. 2 אולמות, אולם אחד, אולם של מעין מבוך, שמתפתח למעין ריזום, כאילו שורשים שמתפלגים לכיוונים שונים, והצופה הולך ביניהם, המבקר בתערוכה הולך ביניהם והולך לאיבוד קצת. השני זה הטירה, מי שבא לפראג בפעם הראשונה, עומד ליד הגשר ורואה את הטירה ממול, בייחוד ביום סגרירי, יש איזו תחושה כזאת של גדלות, של איום מסוים של הטירה מעל הדברים. והשלישי זה חדר קטן באמצע, חדר הפוגה, שאתה צריך להיכנס בחשיכה, לעצום עיניים ולשמוע מה קפקא חושב על עצמו, או כותב על עצמו ביומנים שלו, ולהבין כמה הדמות הזאת מורכבת מאוד מבחינה אישיות, פסיכולוגיה וכו'.
Here, no one else can gain entry.
Hier konnte niemand sonst Einlass erhalten, denn dieser Eingang war nur für dich bestimmt.
כי הכניסה הזאת נועדה רק לך.
Since this entrance was assigned only to you.
لأن هذا المدخل مخصص لك وحدك.
One of our main goals in working on this exhibition was taking Franz Kafka, the character, the mythical character that many people maybe know by name, but don't really know who he was, what his work is really about.
אתה לוקח, פורט את האישיות שלו, של היוצר, ומביא אספקטים שונים, או רמות שונות, או שכבות שונות, וכל אדם צריך להתחיל לפענח ולהיכנס בין השכבות ולהבין איפה הוא נמצא, איפה קפקא נמצא אצלו בתוכו, איפה הוא מזדהה עם קפקא שלו.
What was a big surprise to us in preparation of this exhibition was not so much about Kafka as a literary person, it was much more Kafka and his graphic art. Since in our collections we have most of Kafka's ink drawings and pencil drawings, we were able to present them as part of our exhibition, and that offers an additional layer to our visitors to approach Kafka and his personality, because most likely these drawings helped him in a way to face everyday issues and problems that he felt, and maybe also to bring up ideas in a different way than simply writing them out.
When looking over the Kafka works on paper, the many letters, the manuscripts, I think for me personally, seeing his little illustrations, doodles one may call them, were touching to me personally, because many people doodle and draw, whether when they're on the phone, when they're just letting their mind wander, and I could really see myself in these little images that he drew. These illustrations gave us inspiration to reach out to 8 top Israeli illustrators. This cooperation with them brought to life 8 new works.
The National Library of Israel is not a museum. It's a library. It's a different kind of library. It's a cultural center, it's education center, it's a visitor center. And the mass people, the mass amount of visitors that comes here to see the library, they have opportunity to go deep inside the stories of the library. An exhibition is a one way of letting the people understand the story.